I'm Alan Robarge, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist, and I like to talk about attachment injuries and healing attachment trauma to improve our relationships and learn better skills of relating. And this video is about self-directed healing and how we apply that to changing old patterns of relationship, making some new choices, focusing on ourselves. And also we might be in a relationship that is not going well, derailed, dysfunctional, whatever it is, we also might need some relationship repair. And simultaneously to work on the relationship means that you're working on yourself. This video, this self-directed healing approach really is about self-accountability and having a plan for where you're focusing your healing efforts. It's a bit of a cheerleading video. It's really saying, what are you working on? How are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? Now, if you want to sign up for a PDF, I am offering an exercise, a tool, a resource here that we're going to go through. It's one that I really value. It's going to inform, how you can begin to frame this process. It's a bit of a shorthand approach to really clarifying what are you working on, what task do you need to accomplish, what are the obstacles getting in the way, and what is the outcome that you're looking for. And to be able to have clarity to answer those questions and to know how you're applying your self-directed healing, I have this tool, this resource you can use, and you can sign up for it. If you go to my website, which is alanrobarge.com/SDH Focus, and that stands for Self-Directed Healing Focus. And I'll just repeat it, myname.com/S as in Sam, D as in David, H as in Harry, Focus. SDH Focus. You'll be able to get this tool. I'm going to go through it here, but first I want to talk about self-directed healing, why it is so important to me, and really define it and what it is and what it isn't. Now, keep in mind, this is the guiding principle, not only what I teach, my videos, everything that I've been doing as I continue to offer videos and offer, content on Facebook and, building a community to come together is what I have done with Improve Your Relationships. It's the name of the 8-week program. It's the name of an online community. And this self-directed healing approach is the cornerstone, the guiding principle that really informs what we are doing in that community. So this video has two purposes. The first is to talk about self-directed healing and to share this exercise with you of how you can apply this in your life. The second is to be very clear and direct that the reason why I create videos and spend so much time and effort organizing my notes and creating these PDFs is very much to invite you to join the membership community. It takes a lot of work to continually provide free content and create videos, and for that reason there is a membership community that if it is time, if you are ready to engage in some self-accountability and to really connect with other people, like-minded people who are in the same place, who want to talk about changing old relationship patterns, because enough is enough. And we're in a very, very good place right here, right now, where I happens to be the beginning of the new year. And so you can really think about, what are you doing when you enter this coming year, 2018, and perhaps you're watching this video, over time, it will become dated, and we could renew and think and apply this at any time in our life. But it just so happens we are entering, beginning the new year, and self-directed healing is a bit of a fresh perspective and says, let's inventory where we're at, and it is time to create some change. Please know an option for you to experiment and encourage you to create change is to join us in the membership community, and that is very, very much a part of why I'm offering this exercise, this tool, and creating this video. Now let's jump in and explore and talk about what is self-directed healing and what it is not. Self-directed healing is a lifestyle. It is about participating consciously in your maturing and in your growth, and realizing that when we are coming from a centered place of clarity and awareness of how we can participate in educating ourselves, in engaging in a grieving process, in learning about relationship dynamics, and waking up to how we have been in denial to some old patterns that we learned in our family. They're very, very hurtful. And if you found me, if you stumbled upon this video, and if you know me from other videos, it's because, or chances are, you too resonate with this idea of attachment injuries and attachment trauma, and noticing how your relationships are marked with an approach of insecure attachment. And it triggers your nervous system and creates a whole, hormonal cocktail in your mind of distress and fear and panic, and intimacy itself, emotional connection itself, becomes a trigger that feels vulnerability is very scary and challenging. And we often bump into core beliefs around how we're not lovable, this person is going to leave me anyway, this relationship isn't going to work out. And for many of us, that also just adds to more anxiety and also a self-fulfilling prophecy where our relationships don't work out. So you might be finding this video having already completed that cycle, and you're in your grief process saying, oh, here we go again, this old pattern. Or you might be in the middle of a relationship, but yet you're experiencing incredible amount of distress and distrust and just confusion. It's very painful. We're talking about suffering, and self-directed healing is really standing up to suffering and saying, suffering, I'm going to work with you. I'm going to accept the reality as a human being that I encounter and experience a certain amount of suffering, and the way to manage it is to move through it and to walk towards it, not to shut down, avoid it, and try to chase happiness. We are entering a very conscious grief process, a grieving process. And that is healing work. All healing work is a grief process, and all grieving is a healing process. So self-directed healing is tapping into your innate wisdom, your inner self, your healer self, your guru self, your inner therapist, a place coming from feeling grounded and then making choices. It's very much about agency, and agency is asserting your will and realizing that you can impact your immediate situation. You can also impact your future situation by participating consciously and putting forth effort to create some change. It is a very proactive approach to participating in your life and to addressing the discomfort of your suffering head on. It is not going to disappear on its own. Trauma, attachment trauma, is not going to magically disappear from your nervous system just because over time you've ignored it enough. The point of self-directed healing, the point of the membership community I've created, the point of this video is we are choosing to participate proactively. So this is not about a codependent approach or a dependent approach, waiting for someone else to tell us what to do, waiting for a guide, waiting for a savior, waiting for a therapist. It is not passive, it is proactive. Now, the challenge here is some people hear this message and they think that I'm supporting pull yourself up by the bootstraps mentality, and that I might even be endorsing a kind of isolation where you are to figure all this out on your own in your mind and you're supposed to keep it to yourself and go through some kind of internal process. We still need external connection. We still need education. We still need healing helpers. We still need healing professionals. We still need to know how to find nourishment and encouragement beyond what we are generating for ourselves internally. But we want to come from a grounded place where we are collaborating and we are a co-creator with all those other people that we are letting in some good nourishment. Healing attachment injuries does not happen in a vacuum. We need corrective experiences where we are able to engage in emotional attunement, limbic resonance, practice and experiment with vulnerability where it's not only with family members, it's not only with a loved one or a partner. We're able to do this with friends. We're able to take the risk to be vulnerable and reveal ourselves to other people. And a good way to do this is find community, find a place where you belong, which links to why I created the membership community. And the word community is there to know that we don't have to go this alone. However, from a point of self-directed healing, we do need to step up and name what it is we're working on, how we're working on it, what's getting in the way, and what outcome are we focusing on, as opposed to being wishy-washy, as opposed to being in a permanent state of a confusion, as opposed to being passive and waiting to be told what to do. So that's why in this membership community that I've created, it is about participation. It is about engagement. It is not about sitting back and reading resources or posts or, observing on the sideline. This is about let's step it up and participate. Self-directed healing really asks us, what can we do? What do we need to do? When are we going to do it? And then monitor, are we doing it? And if we're not, if there's a challenge, then we adjust it. It's an approach that is gentle, it is not aggressive. It is an approach that is compassionate. It is not about giving yourself a hard time if you bump into obstacle, challenge, or limitation. We are constantly adjusting and looking at, well, when you are there for yourself, and as you strengthen self-care and self-love and paying attention to your process, how can you continue to make it workable? We are not looking for arriving and completion and being, this idea of being better and fixed. That doesn't make sense. What we are looking for is, what's the next step? What's the next thing that you can do this afternoon, this evening, tomorrow morning, that is going to help give you some direction and clarity around your own healing process? And you have to define what that process is. Let me also acknowledge that this is what I've already said. Just to repeat, it's so important. We're not talking about being isolated and going it alone. Really know how to ask for help, but in a way that's not creating a dependency or waiting for someone else to do something. So a really good example of this would be going to see a therapist where you don't participate, or the level or degree of your energy is so minimal that the process and the work feels very stale, and that you're waiting for the therapist to challenge you, and you're waiting for the therapist to invite some deeper level conversation. Self-directed healing says, well, you're going to do that not only with yourself, but you're going to challenge the therapy process. You're going to challenge the therapist also, and you're going to invite some collaboration and create movement and energy and synergy. This process is dynamic. It is not about sitting back and having a stale conversation and then wondering if something's going to come out of this. This is very much defining, what are you doing today and what's on the horizon? What are you working towards? So I have some notes here. I just want to make sure that I'm not forgetting anything about you being in the driver's seat, tapping into your inner wisdom, making some choices about how you need to move forward. We're talking about agency, and agency is asserting your will to create an outcome, and that internal sense of, you know what, I can affect change. And when we don't have agency, we feel helpless, we feel hopeless, and we also can feel a bit like a victim, where something is lacking. Now, this is a real challenging thing to talk about, because you're not always going to feel this way. You're not always going to have access to these resources. And what we know specifically with trauma and how the brain works, that resource is lost. We disconnect from resource, or sometimes we regress into a younger state of mind. And so if my attachment trauma is triggered and activated, and I'm feeling I'm in my 8-year-old self or my 10-year-old self, I'm not going to have access to my adult resources as I know them. And I'm not going to have as much access to the clarity of mind to be able to know how to maneuver in that space when I do find myself regressing to these younger feeling states. So it's not that this is going to totally go away. That's a bit normal for our mind to go in and out, especially if we're doing some work, healing work around trauma. But we're always coming back to strengthening this idea of being able to tap into the agency, asserting our will. Another way of framing this is oftentimes in psychology, it's referred to as an internal locus of control as opposed to an external locus of control. And an internal locus of control lets me realize, hey, I am still actively participating in the environment here. I am still actively participating in knowing what I want and who I am and how I need to move forward to create the life that I say I want to live, or that I know is possible, or that I deserve. And so we are strengthening self-directed healing very much is about, let's make sure, identify what does it feel like to have a sense of self, and how do we listen to that sense of self, and how do we activate our own inner wisdom, and how do we lead from a place of paying attention to our intuition, paying attention to our body and the body sensations, and how that we have messages and clues that are coming from our own experience. And then we integrate that, we synthesize that, we find the meaning in that, and then we make some choices and then move one step forward. This is what self-directed healing is about. This, again, is the guiding principle and why I created the program, Improve Your Relationship. If we don't have this approach, then it's as if I'm offering a bunch of content where you passively sit back and watch a video, where you passively sit back and look at a worksheet or a handout, or read other people's posts and know what's going on in the community, but there's still this observer quality of not being in it. Self-directed healing is an invitation to say, it is time to be in it. It is your life. It is happening. And again, to repeat, the time of year I'm making this video for 2018 is around the corner, is on the horizon. That inspires us is, let's start fresh. Hit the reset button and let's tap into what is this approach to self-directed healing and start to incorporate it into our lives on a regular basis. So this is a good segue to the exercise I told you about. To get a copy of the exercise, just to repeat, go to my website, alanrobarge.com/SDH focus, and that stands for self-directed healing focus. And I am going to just look at my notes real quick to make sure that I didn't forget anything. No, I'm right on track. Here we go. So, as I said, I am offering this tool very specifically as a way to give you a flavor and a taste of the type of work that I'm doing and what informs the membership community, and how much effort it takes to create this video and offer these resources for free. It very much is an invitation that if you find value here, and if you find value in what, the writings that I share, this is a continuation. I also offer more of this type of value in the membership community. And the only way I can continue to do this type of work for free and to offer it to so many people is to have very clearly some audience, some subscribers, some viewers who very much know that this value is only available because of all of my efforts. And way you can support continuing this type of work and helping many of us and building the community is for you to very clearly to participate and to join the membership community. It will safeguard and guarantee the possibility for me to continue to not only offer free items, but to continue this kind of work. So this is a clear invitation, and I want to share with you there is a special offer that expires on the 31st. It's a trial membership for 14 days, and on the 31st of this year it will expire, and I will not offer it again until the end of next year. Every year I will offer this trial membership, this 14-day trial membership that is free and of no charge. And on the 14th day, after you sign up, the 14 days later, then the payment will start. But please know, if you want to test drive the experience of being in the community, if you want to see the resources in the workshop, worksheets, if you want to view the videos. I have moved all of my videos, 180 videos, off of YouTube, and there's beautifully organized and structured, and there's a way to track them and really be able to categorize them in different areas of focus. And that incredible resource is also an added value bonus to members of the membership community. So let's jump into the exercise. I hope you have your copy by now, that you signed up and it was emailed to you, and we're going to go through this together. And this is about creating focus. So the exercise is self-directed healing, creating focus, and defining a plan. And this is a lovely, simple little tool you can use. I also shorthand refer to it as ABCD. Just the letters A, B, C, D. And the reason why that's important, you'll see when we're done, is that you want to be able to just name those 4 letters, name those 4 items. And that will help reinforce and give you clarity and focus. This is an exercise you can use daily. You can use it weekly. You can maybe even use it more than once during the day, and you might get a little different answer. It's a way to help bring in some clarity and some focus, and then assign a plan of what are you doing for self-directed healing. So this exercise has 4 parts, and each part has identified with a letter. And the first part says, the aspect of my self-directed healing that needs the most focus right now is, and that's the letter A. And you fill that out. And the word aspect, I put in parentheses some other words, the place of your self-directed healing, the part of yourself, or the area of your self-directed healing that needs focus right now. So you can play with the language. It's the aspect, the place, the part, or the area of my self-directed healing that needs the most focus right now is. And you can go ahead and pause this video and write that down. That's letter A. And then we move on to letter B, which says, one simple, achievable task that I can do this week to support myself in creating this healing focus is to letter B. So here we are just, letter A defines, let's hone in on what are we working on. And then letter B says, let's break it down into a manageable, a concrete, solution-focused task. What can we do that is going to help us create some support in order to direct our healing focus? So the first part, letter A, the aspect of my self-directed healing that needs the most focus right now is, letter A. Letter B, one simple, achievable task that I can do this week to support myself in creating this healing focus is to, and then fill out letter B. And you can pause the video in this moment. I'll have a drink of tea. Welcome back if you just paused. And then we're going to move on to letter C, the obstacle that seems to get in my way from time to time, hindering completion of the task, is letter C. And I'll repeat that, the obstacle. So we have defined letter A as where we're honing in focus. Letter B is, let's name a task of something that's doable. It can't be a crazy out, far left field, wild task that is so impossible. It has to be doable. We're looking for the play where, what part is workable? Where is the in? What calls your attention of what is possible, given your energy level, given the amount of time you have this week, given your resources. So we have to be, again, this is where self-directed healing comes into be intelligent about how are you making these choices. So we have define it, we have named the task, and then letter C is like, well, let's immediately call out what's going to get in the way. And what we know is going to be the challenge. The obstacle that seems to get in my way from time to time, hindering completion of the task that you already named in letter B, is now letter C. You fill out letter C. And you can pause the video in this moment if you want to think about it, or if you already know, we can just keep going. And then we create a whole summary, and I'm going to repeat all 3 items, and they're going to read, and we're going to use the answers from A, B, C, and then we're going to conclude with letter D. And this is what it says. It says, I know if I make a little more effort this week to focus on letter A and commit to letter B and make real efforts to avoid and or work with not getting distracted by letter C, then I will invite the possibility for letter D. That's where you fill out letter D. And the possibility is, what is the ultimate goal? What is the outcome that you're looking for? Now, sometimes we create an outcome that's a bit idealistic, like to say, more happiness, then I will invite the possibility for more happiness. If that really, really connects with you and you can sink your teeth into it and there's some clarity around how you're going to experience a sense of happiness, then fine, you can write that. For me personally, if I write something like, more peace, more love in my life, those are so idealized, esoteric, a bit conceptual, that it's not real concrete, and it sort of goes against the whole purpose of self-directed healing. Self-directed healing is really employing a path and a plan, and then incorporating self-accountability to see how you're committed and you have a sense of discipline to stay with it. And we need to be able to track, well, was there some kind of outcome? So if, for example, your letter D was, more happiness or experience love, I would even suggest or clarify, how can you very specifically name, well, what exactly does that look like? How would you know on a Saturday afternoon that you're experiencing, a life that has more happiness in it? If you're watching the video of yourself in, having a bit more of a happier life, then what the heck is on that video? How is it really tangible and concrete? The more tangible and concrete that we can make it, the more helpful it is. So imagine, for me, I like the idea of really having a long dinner with appetizers and dessert and a lot of good conversation. And to me, it's a bit of like the ambiance in the restaurant has like low lighting. It's not a loud restaurant. And friends, 3 or 4 people at the table, really getting a chance. We are not rushed, and we are talking, and we really get it. And people are listening, and people are hearing me, and I'm able to hear other people. To me, sometimes when I pursue that, it does invite a feeling of contentment. And I will say I have more happiness in my life. So do you see, that's an example of how I made it very, very concrete of how, that's something that we are working towards to be able to identify it. So then when next week, when I use this exact same, this tool, this exercise, I can reflect on it and say, well, did I have a kind of moment last week that I know is possible at a restaurant when we're really hanging out and having good conversation? And I can also use that as a launching off point, that it literally doesn't have to be at a restaurant. It could happen anywhere. But then capturing like meaningful conversation with friends. That's my outcome. Did I have that experience of really having a delicious conversation with a delicious meal, and that I felt nourished in multiple ways, emotionally nourished? So you see, that's how I would define letter B, because we want it to be a little more specific and tangible and concrete. So I'm going to read the whole thing again real quick. I know you have your copy so that you could see it, just to really anchor it. Self-directed healing focus and creating a plan is the name of this exercise. The aspect, the place, the part or area of my self-directed healing that needs the most focus right now is letter A. One simple, achievable task that I can do this week to support myself in creating this healing focus is letter B. The obstacle, or you can make this plural, the obstacles, more than one, that seems to get in my way from time to time, hindering completion of the task, is letter C. And then we all pull it all together in order to define what is the main goal and the outcome that we're looking for. I know if I make a little more effort this week to focus on letter A, to commit to letter B, and make real efforts to avoid and or work with not getting distracted by letter C, then I will invite the possibility for letter D. So this approach, this exercise is about taking responsibility for your life. It's all about a realization of self-accountability, and that we do have the ability to create some focus and put effort into seeing some changes and repairing a relationship and learning some new skills. And if you need to learn a new skill in relating, you then have to define what the heck is that? What skill do you need? And then what can you do, one task to get that skill? And then what are the obstacles that get in your way from practicing or learning more about that skill? And when you have that skill and you've integrated that skill more completely and fully, what kind of outcome are you going to see? How is your life going to look just a little different? How are you going to get to a place where you have something appears as a new resource that you can tap into? This is all about tapping into resources, skills, learning skills, using our resources, maturing and growing. Healing work is simply a conscious choice. It is saying, I am going to participate in my inevitable maturing. You know, I am not going to stay stuck or stagnant. I'm really going to make some efforts to do something different. Lastly, I've already told you about it multiple times. Please join us in the membership community. This is a place where you can do something from this point of view of self-directed healing, where you're really able to show up and share your process. That's the point. That's what we talk about. That's why we talk about it, to be able to name what are our insights, what are we working on, how's it going, and how do we need to continue to re-fortify our level of commitment and not fall back into passivity, not fall back into stagnation, not fall back into confusion. To remind you, there is a bit of a opportunity right now. If you really want to test drive the program and see what it's all about, I am offering a 14-day free trial membership. This offer will expire on the 31st of December. It's only available right now, and then I'm not going to have it available until a year from now at the end of 2018. So if you want to sign up, please do alanrobarge.com/community. Thank you so much for valuing my work. Thank you for a really great year. You know, Happy New Year. If you happen to be watching this at the time, I know some people are going to watch it, you know, in November or April or whatever, and it's not going to be the right timing. But at least for anyone who watches it now, thank you for all your support. Thank you for the last so many years of valuing what I'm doing. And let's continue, let's keep going to grow as a community and really focus on changing our relationships. I want us all to improve our relationships, because it's possible. We know that we can learn some new skills, and we deserve it. We do not want to continue in the same type of relationships that bring us stress and headache and are just not working out. We have a new vision. We believe relationships can work out because emotional connections matter. That's so important to me. That's a tagline that I've adopted, and I want you to remember that. Emotional connections matter. Thank you for watching. See you next time.